Hello and welcome to a very special, I don't know what we're calling this, video preview chat, kind of a podcast. My name's Adam Cook and I'm here with Steve Chambers. How are you, Steve?
I'm good, Adam. How are you?
Really good, thank you, mate, really good. We're here to talk about Nintendo Switch 2 because you and me, we, the pair, got to go and play 4 hours-ish of Nintendo Switch 2.
It's fair to say we had a lovely day out.
We had a lovely day out that
nice.
ended in some bad train situations, but that's not why people are here. That's here
right, man.
To hear about Switch 2. We got lots of hands-on, various configurations. If you're watching this video, you will see like there's some scenes of us playing. We're going to try and do the best we can to give you as an informative thing. It might be quite long. We've got a lot to say. So, Steve, I'm going to start with you, and I just want to know, really, before we get into it, and again, there will be discussions on individual games, Switch 2 editions, the GameCube. We have also got a lovely, quite lengthy Q&A section at the end of what we'll do before we do our sort of final summation. And on top of that, just to say, if you do have any questions, we'll answer all of them that we can, but it will probably be behind the Patreon paywall. So if you put them in the questions of this YouTube video or wherever you want to be, we'll answer them, and any other questions we've missed so far, because we can't wait forever to record it, we'll do that. Steve, Nintendo Switch 2, talk to me about your initial feeling of the console before we move into the games, like general impressions.
I'm gonna talk a little bit about us getting to the event, because that set a tone that continued for me, basically.
Right.
So as we walked in, queued up, waited a little while, everything is hidden behind the curtain. There is a big sense of theatre building up here. We've strolled in, and you're walking to a room surrounded by Switch 2s set up on TVs either side, and the first thing you get is a round of applause from people. It's a mad moment, but it sets the tone for an event whereby this is a huge Nintendo celebration. It is.
Yes.
It's making you feel part of this huge event and a moment in time for Nintendo again. It's something we've been lacking for a little while for consoles, and that set me up for the day. That gave me such a feeling of elation for it, which put me in a very positive mindset, shall we say. That wasn't let down. That wasn't let down at all. This is a day full of. Is it a spoiler to say positivity from us?
No, look, I mean, I think it's an interesting thing, because ultimately the biggest concern I think a lot of people had about the Switch 2 is it seemed, and you've got to be honest here and say you were one of these people, you were concerned about it being an iterative thing, because that's what consoles are now. It is rarely a case of like what Nintendo did, where it would be like from a Wii. After the Wii is like what, and then suddenly we're doing handhelds. That doesn't really happen. It is kind of like
those
PlayStation
days
4,
are gone,
PlayStation 5. They are, because it's too much of a risk for any company to take. So it was a concern, but I have to say the first thing you do, if you get to go to any of these experiences, and the first thing we did was play Mario Kart World, which is obviously always going to be a good time. But you get a
system seller right there, man.
It is, and we'll come on to that. But you quite quickly, we had a chance to check out the actual console in our hands. And again, that is a good way, because straight away the thing you are wondering is, well, we've gone from LCD to OLED back to LCD. Steve?
I thought straight away, if I hadn't known there is not a huge jump between the OLED and this LCD, because it now supports HDR. Yeah, it is bright, it is poppy.
But this is the thing. Like, a lot of people go on about how they want 4K resolution, and it always sort of makes me sort of not wince, but. And by the way, Nintendo does do that.
In the handheld, you really don't.
No, I mean generally. I don't mean just Nintendo. I mean like generally. But like one of the things that, HDR done well makes any game visually look better, because it's about better lighting and this. I mean, we all know Nintendo have the colourful looking games and that sort of thing, so it's.
And this only enhances that.
This is it. So like, I don't know that it's a case of they won't do one, and everyone's like, oh, well, they're not going to. It wouldn't surprise me a bit. We're jumping too far
If I were a
ahead.
betting man, I would think we would see the OLED iteration in a couple of years.
Yeah, but we're jumping.
Do I feel like we need it at the moment?
No,
probably not.
The screen is beautiful. The games look great on it. They run great on it.
It's not a huge jump as you look at the numbers, but it feels massive in the hands in terms of as a visual, not as a the actual physical size. It doesn't feel like you're holding something huge like a small TV, but that difference on just there in front of you. I didn't notice comparing the edge on there on the bezel on it. Essentially,
there is one. I noticed that, and you'll be able to see that in the videos.
There is a lot though.
It's thinner than the I think original Switch bezel, obviously, but it's not edge to edge.
No.
I mean, not much is, to be fair. I mean, I think they kind of even like the Steam Deck OLED. I don't think is like pure just screen.
But it would feel picky to go on about that because you were not looking at that anyway. You were looking at everything by you on screen.
But we got to look at the console, and we'll stick to that for now. We got to hold the console because obviously one of the things about these kind of preview things is that the hardware's locked down. You're not going to be able to just start taking it apart. But we did get to hold just a Switch 2, console, and it's worth saying that a lot of the things I had concerns of were sort of allayed there, like say the magnetic Joy-Cons.
Oh man.
Well, the initial worry I had was that time, essentially. Okay. Over time, how's this gonna? But the locking mechanism means I think that even were the magnets to wear, once you put them together, they lock in anyway. So I don't. Well,
isn't the argument here you're going to get less wear and tear than you would have done on the rails previously?
I don't know, but what I will say is that 100% those magnets I think are more satisfying. The click from those to the rails is better. So that's kind of
that's a special feeling for me now.
The thing of isn't going away because it's still there. They feel great.
Is there.
The USB-C on the top and the bottom, great. The buttons all feel as they should. The joysticks on the Joy-Cons feel you need extended use, but they feel fine from what the time we got with them, I think. The only other thing I note is the stand is, I think, a little flimsier than the OLED, but also it's more malleable, so it kind of counteracts if that makes sense.
Even looking at it, so what it is, it's an outline U essentially, rather than being a solid piece to bend.
I like that because that kind of means you can hang it on something.
That would be a braver man than me doing that.
No, but what I'm saying is I've sat in the car before, and I've been sat waiting, and I've had the OLED, and it's got the better, stand, and you can sort of just about get it on your steering wheel or something. But I'm thinking, actually, do you know what? If I've got that on it, you drive
very dangerously, Adam.
No, not while driving. I mean, whilst waiting. I liked it. Again, it's one of those things that time will tell. And also, just for the record, one thing we did notice that I hadn't seen is the cart slot has more on it. It's also got like
it has a little piece that now sits inside the slot itself, which feels much more rigid compared to the more flimsy Switch feel of it.
But the hardware itself,
it feels like you could pull the rubber plastic off my current Switch.
Yes.
No.
And the hardware itself, like, is very little to complain about. Like, the only things that I would say hardware-wise that I don't know that still are out, the sort of jury's out for me on them is I don't know battery life. We've no idea.
There are rumours out there at the moment between 2 and 6.5 hours, depending on how hard you're pushing it.
But that's too much variation. Like, I need to.
Yeah, we need to see it. Give it some time in hand.
On top of that, like I say, the UI we did not get to see. Not at all.
Everything was locked down from there.
Same for the chat, the communication button, and all that functionality. Spoilers now. Not really spoilers, but there was a couple of things how I want to finish my own personal thoughts on this and say that I had a few thoughts going in. Nothing is going to convince me otherwise of these few thoughts. One of which was, I do not need a Pro Controller again. I have two. And the thing I will say, by the way, is the reason I'll say this is because they're fantastic. They have the best battery life of any controller. They seem structured in a way that they are so unbreakable.
They're already amazing, aren't they?
I felt going in, there's no way I'm coming away from this going to want to spend 75 quid on a Pro Controller 2.
How wrong you were, Adam.
Yep. That's one so far, one thing. So that feels great. The Joy-Cons themselves, I thought the Joy-Con 2s feel great, and the snap, the magnetized snap-on of the grips as well was a nice surprise because I thought then things are annoying.
For the straps, you mean?
Yeah, for the grip strap things. For the original
so they magnetize to the edge as well. And
that's what I mean. I've got drawers of the original ones in my full of them because I just don't like them. They're annoying. They're uncomfortable. They're quite finicky to get on and off.
And why do you always end up with like 20 of them? It's bizarre. I don't even know where they've come from. They breed in the drawer.
But like these feel they just pop on. They just pop on. rather than focus on the mouse stuff here, I think we'll incorporate that as we go through the games.
It's better in context, maybe, yeah.
Yeah, so, I mean, let's talk about... Mario Kart World. Let's talk about that.
That was a heck of a first experience. I'm sure that every Switch owner, or the majority of Switch owners, have played a lot of Mario Kart in their time. It feels like one of those things that you have to have as a Nintendo Switch owner. I've got a bit blasé with it over the years.
Same.
Because I was playing it back on Wii U as Mario Kart 8 originally, kicked the arse out of it as far as it goes, bought it again, because you do, that's the thing you've got to do. And, you know, to be fair, they've added so much to it in that time that it has almost evolved into a new game at that point. There's so much extra content. There is a whole game's worth of extra tracks and content now. So it was never just, oh, here's the Wii U port. It's changed now into something else. And then I kicked the arse out of it again. So I have racked hundreds of hours in this. And I thought, okay, this is going to be a nicer looking Mario Kart. You know, it's going to be fine. It feels like a different beast to what I expected.
The open world stuff took me by surprise. I know they announced it, but actually experiencing it.
Yeah, dude, it's different once you get in there. I had some concerns. So we know that we were going in there with 24 players now.
Yeah.
That instantly raised me. I think I mentioned it before. That is a lot of carnage on track. You know, if you were all armed with red shells for homing in, you know, even green shells just kicking around the track. Don't even talk about blue shells if a couple of those are coming in. That wasn't quite the madness I expected. So tracks are much wider. They are looser corners now, it's fair to say, from what we've experienced so far. And you know, I need to see the full game of that to really see each individual track and how it's going to play out. But it allows a lot more space. So you don't feel like you are 24 racers packed into this tiny course, all on top of each other, all vying for just a bit of space to move. The pack soon spreads out. And it very much has the moment-to-moment feel that we're used to. You know, you're getting seconds whereby you'll have, say, a straight on there, and you have a moment to breathe, and suddenly you realise again that you've got 12 people sat behind you, a load more sat in front, and you can actually see them all spread out there. But you're not getting this bombardment constantly of items and feeling like, oh, I'm just getting completely screwed by RNG or anything like that. It still feels very much a traditional Mario Kart moment-to-moment driving experience. And I want that. You know, that's a nostalgic thing for me. The bits that have changed and that I can't wait to see more of are the open world racing, of which we've had a bit of experience of, and we've had experience of the knockout style of race.
There's sort of
going through all of the tracks as a wanna.
Well, it seems there's two styles of the open world section, and I think obviously when you're playing single player you can just go and do that, but while you're sort of preparing for the races you can just go around the courses and sort of explore,
just play around.
But they seem like they seem to be suggesting, when I asked, that these are just like, it's just a one open world, like it's all connected, and that seems mad. And but from experience, from actually playing it, and I know from looking at the screen when you were playing, you saw this as well. You can just completely go off the track and be in a completely different area. And I am already wondering about what they're hiding and what's.
There's going to be Easter eggs and secrets all over. I'm sure. You know, nods to other games. Well, other games in the series as well. That I've already noticed a couple of parts of tracks that are from older tracks, but they were a section, not a repeat of that track.
Yes,
it was maybe a 15-20 second there, and I was like, I know this. And then it's gone again, and you're back off on something new.
But that open world stuff is really interesting. I haven't got a huge amount to say about it because I need some more time with it. But what I did experience was like, this is what will be here, you know?
I don't know if you'd done it at one point. We had a race up in one of the higher up in the clouds tracks.
Yeah.
And I may or may not have screwed up and fallen off the edge.
Yes.
There was no Lakitu picking you up. You were falling right down again.
That's the
and
bit
suddenly you're down
about.
in this world, and you're like,
because
okay,
I
can
kept
just fly around and go back up again.
Well, I kept falling thinking this is a bug, and then at some point, is it gonna, like I say, am I gonna get rescued? And then you land in the sort of lake at the bottom, and you're like, oh no, you got to go and find somewhere getting back up. And so, what's
there was like a launcher to
fly
you back up again.
That's it. Let's talk about the elimination mode though. It's almost the battle royale of Mario Kart
I think it's going to become the most stressful way to play Mario Kart. That's for sure.
I think it's going to become the preferred way to play it.
Yeah, I can see that certainly happening for me. It's going to pull me back into online Mario Kart. That's
so. This is basically, you will go through the courses, say for a Grand Prix, one by one. They just link one into the next, and each time you finish one, there's people eliminated. So it'll be like, get within the top 18, get within the top 15, eventually leading to the last lap or course, which is get within the top 4, and then it's you 4 racing to get first.
It's brutal.
It's fantastic, though, isn't it?
It is amazing, yeah. I had a grin on my face all the way through that. That's
where the kind of chaotic stuff came in, I thought, because it's not a case of, well, I'm in 23rd, it's like, no, you're running out of time. You have to get into the top 19, 20, whatever the numbers are. You have to get in there or you're done. And I think that's just a really... I mean, I've seen this in a racing game before. This isn't a brand new idea. I have seen it. It's new for Mario Kart. To my knowledge.
Definitely.
And it's great fun. And like the one mode, I'm like, as soon as I get hold of that, I'm on that. Do you know what I mean?
It's going back to the actual event itself. This was a whole bunch of 24 people who have never met, and you could see them getting riled at each other. You know, people were getting mad, and you could see them looking around, thinking, who's actually doing that to me, and seeing it all. And props to the guys there who are running the demo stands as well, because they were pushing to get everyone hyped up, and there was this real sense of occasion with that, of like, this is what you're going to be doing, and it's fantastic.
It's weird because we both said to one another with Mario Kart World, it's really difficult to come away and be like waxing lyrical about it, because everyone knows about Mario Kart. Mario Kart's been good for the longest time. Mario Kart's been the biggest selling games for the longest time. If you offered me it right now, I'd snap your fingers off. Like, if I could play it for the rest of today and like go between my TV and sitting on, out in the garden or something, I'm in. Do you know what I mean? So it's difficult to know where to go. I want to talk about the welcome pack though, right?
Yeah, I didn't get to experience this. I was guilty of saying I want to do this on day one. Yeah, there's a little bit about how I feel about it as well. So
there's going to be some of that. I'll warn people now who have got this far with us that there are going to be bits that I personally deliberately didn't want to experience. So I'll say it now. If you're coming in hoping for Metroid Prime 4 story stuff, you're not going to get that here, because I purposefully skipped every cutscene. I wanted to know how it felt. I wanted to experience the controls. I will play that game whenever it is available to me, and like, I don't want to be like getting into the story and then thinking, God, we don't even have a date yet, so don't expect
I can't help you either, Adam, because I'm renowned for skipping story things anyway. So
let's not jump ahead to there. Let's talk about Welcome Pack. Now, the reason I want to get this out of the way is because I think this is the one that's got the most negativity around it.
Yep, definitely. Everyone assuming it would be a pack-in, and it's not.
I think it's unwarranted. I think there's a lot about this that I want to celebrate. So, for example, so members of our team at Loot Live Will Chill have like younger children than mine. For example, mine are grown-up adults, but like some do. This is a mishmash of mini games and teaching moments. Like, it is about... So it's funny because it goes back a little bit to, I think, what I talked about earlier when I said people are like, it's just an iteration, it's more. I think this does a great job of explaining that not only why it's more, why it's worth it, what it does, and why you should care.
Mm-hmm.
So we only got to see a little bit of it. And I will say I found some stuff in this that I don't think I was supposed to find. And there's definitely more in this than more than meets the eye, shall we say. So it goes, there are simple quizzes, which it's not really a quiz, it's just like, here's what things do. It's more instructional moments. And there are mini games. And the thing I don't think people realise is that when you say get 3 stars on a mini game, which I did, and by the way, just for the record, I'm claiming the world record for the Rumble. Unless Nintendo UK wants to comment in the video and say, no, we've seen someone do it better, you'll be able to see that in this video. I'm claiming the world record. Whatever, nothing big. No big deal. But even you, let's be honest, you were impressed.
I was, to be fair.
I was impressed.
I was thinking, how has he managed that straight away?
First time, bang, in. However, when you do that and you ace it, or you get the whatever warrants 3 stars, you're earning stars to unlock other things. So you can, once you get to 8 stars, you can unlock the second level of that. And then it introduces. So initially, the mouse is just left and right. You can move up and down, but it's just a line moving left and right as you move it left and right, finding that hard rumble moving. Then the next level is now there's an X and a Y axis, and you're trying to find the rumble X and Y, which I didn't do as well. I didn't think I did that as badly, but I didn't do as well as. Is there a level 3?
I expected more from a world champion, Adam, to be fair, but
yeah, I did too. But like what I'm saying is there another one? How far do these go?
We don't know.
We don't know, but there is more than just do that and that's it. You're done. This is more than a one and done. There are other things like the mouse controlled. Like I keep wanting to call it Minesweeper because it's kind of is. You know what I mean? Mines are coming down.
Mines coming down the screen that you are evading with a small UFO.
Yeah, which is the mouse control. Again. There's a next level for that I didn't get to play. Like, what will that be? Well, will it, will it introduce other things? We don't know. There's a lot more here, and what I really envisioned is like, yes, I'm going to enjoy this, and I'm not going to stand here and go, oh, I'm going to play this for hours and hours and hours. But do you know what? I can imagine a family with younger children or people in the family who don't play video games sitting down and it being a really valuable experience, and it's a tenner. I'm not being funny. If it was 40 quid, 60 quid, 80 apparently, sure. But like, I'll be buying it because I think there's some cool stuff in there, and I need to see if I can replicate my champion.
This feels more than just like a 5-minute pick up and play. There is more depth to it than I expected for sure.
And as I say, there's other stuff
and
I found.
high score chasing by the looks of it.
Yeah, I mean, I don't think there's going to be leaderboards. That's a shame. But
wishful thinking.
I don't think it wouldn't be what I.
It's a bit un-Nintendo to a given.
No, it's not that. I don't think it would be in the spirit of what I think this product is for.
As a learning experience, more so then.
Yes. So what? Go on.
I was going to say one thing that you did see as well was the two screens basically showing you two different frame rates.
The frame rate counting thing, yeah.
That is going to cause some internet controversy, I reckon, because people are going to sort of go,
no, but
they're going to lose their minds arguing about these things.
Tell people what you said on the day. You said basically this is the best.
That I'm going to get this wrong.
No, you said to me that this is the best explanation I have seen of frame rates.
Oh yeah, for sure. For anyone who can't or hasn't got their head around it previously. So to explain exactly what you're going to see, you will see two layers on the screen, both with a ball moving on them. One will be moving, for example, at 30 FPS. One will be moving at 60 FPS. And you have to then say which of these is moving at 60 FPS. That easy. It's choose the one that is correct.
There were 5 or 6 levels.
Variants of each one, wasn't there?
I think I got all. I think the last one or the 5th one I failed.
It was the last one that got you, and that was the 60 to 120
and
jump?
120, yeah, because I'll be honest with you, I haven't experienced enough 120 to be able to pass the difference, whereas 30 and 60...
Yeah, which is going to raise the question for a lot of people like saying, it's easy to choose between 60 and 120. I'm like, is it really?
I got it wrong, and I can say, it was in the middle of a busy event, but like, I got it wrong. I was looking at that. But I must admit, that's the one I was like, is it? I wasn't sure. It was kind of like, I was almost guessing... Well, if I was hard, this one would be 60 to say no. But I got it wrong. Anyway, Welcome Pack in general, I can say I think is way more than people think. I'm not. Listen. People who are angry aren't going to change their minds. But like,
no, of course they're not. If this were a £60 release, you might have a bit of anger at that point. It isn't going to be that.
No. But yeah, I liked what I saw, and I think there's a lot more of it in there. Moving on to a game This is the one I didn't get to play, and I'll be honest with you, once you were playing it, I wished I had played it, but also I'm glad I didn't, because from what I saw, Donkey Kong Bonanza is Super Mario Odyssey 2. Now, Nintendo won't like me for saying that, but it bloody well is.
It certainly has that fit. I've been thinking about this morning. So, at first glance, I 100% agree with you so far. This is a game that feels much like a continuation of the 3D Mario legacy.
Yes.
You are 3D Donkey Kong, wandering around. Lesser platforming than you would expect from, say, a Mario game.
But, it's the first level.
Yeah, of course. I mean, just, we got 20 minutes with this.
2 sections.
Which is by far not enough.
No.
So you're getting a little taste of it. You are looking to break this world a lot. So as DK, you can go around, you can pull chunks out of virtually everything. You can pick up bits of floor, bits of wall, chuck them around.
Surf on them.
Yeah, surf on them, literally barrel your way straight through the floor by punching. which feels quite satisfying when you use the motion
But
controls.
to be clear,
for it,
when
weirdly.
when I say it's Mario Odyssey 2, I mean structurally more than anything. Like, you are finding pipes, not pipes, going in them. There's like a mini level within the, which to be fair is a DK staple as well.
It's a DK thing as well, yeah. It's not just a Mario thing. But in terms of what we've seen so far, how the game is structured, you are going around collecting crystallized bananas. Definitely not moons or stars, but it very much feels that way. So structurally, from what we've seen so far, it is going to follow that. But I think that the moment to moment is very different so far from a 3D Mario. It's got the look of the world. It looks absolutely fantastic. It is shiny. It is glossy. It ticks all of the boxes you're going to want to show off to your friends. But it feels different in movement. It is heavier. It is more solid, I think, is the way I best express it, because you are tearing through chunks. It feels like you are pulling this world apart.
The motion controls thing is because that's interesting to me as well, because I wasn't able to fully get a handle on it. As I understand it, you can punch with them.
Yeah, so you are literally doing that motion.
When you ground
pound, or you
pound,
can do chest movements, etc.
Yeah, there's a chest pound, but could you ground? Because I know you can ground pound. Was that motion as well, or was that?
I didn't do it in the moment of there. I got too busy just trying to see as much as I could see, rather than messing around too much with that.
And just
I wouldn't be surprised if you could jump and then smash down to do that.
Okay, well, just to have it on record as well, because the one thing I wasn't sure of before seeing it. Could you just to tell people what the actual controls are? Because I mean, it's all very well saying that you can see the thing in all the videos Nintendo released. What are you actually doing to punch? Is it just pressing a button?
So pressing the button is your regular choice, as you would expect. Okay. But playing this with two separate Joy-Con, so you've got them in each hand.
Please, Joy-Con 2s.
So my apologies, Joy-Con 2. I'm going to get that wrong a lot.
Oh, that's not going to get annoying at all fast, is it?
Yeah, for sure. So yeah, you're pressing the buttons as you need to, as you would expect with a regular platform game, but you can get that motion going as well.
Okay.
It's going to be something I would need to adapt to. I'm not normally that kind of player.
In what way? Sorry.
I'm more a classical. Give me a controller. I'm going to play this as a controller.
Yeah, you can do that.
Yeah, of course you can. You've got the option there to do exactly that.
Because we talked about on the day when you pick up the rocks, you can throw them, and that's either you can motion control. Yep. Or you can just use the joystick, and you said that you found the motion control more comfortable.
I did, yeah. So you can use the right stick as you expect to aim a reticle round to aim it where it's going to go, but it felt more natural to sort of button it to pick things up, and then just whip it out there. That felt like such a natural thing. Oh, so were you actually
throwing it as well?
So you can throw like that as well. I believe.
I thought you were just aiming and then pressing the throw button. You can actually.
I did a combination of the two.
Okay,
so it's
I didn't
a case
realize
of
that.
You can use a motion to do that.
So that's...
but having motion control to aim.
But that's even more Mario Odyssey. The fact you're throwing Cappy,
doing that as well.
Throw your rocks after aiming. That's even more. I don't want to keep, harping
going
on
back
about
to Mario,
but like it looks good.
For me, I thought of this when I first saw this as this is the thing that's going to fill the gap until Mario comes out.
But not in a negative way.
I don't think that anymore. I'm now thinking this is a standalone thing that I can't looking forward to in and of itself.
Like I say, it's the one thing I'm like, I could have just had a go on it. Why didn't I? Idiot.
We both had the opportunity to go back later. And again, I held off. I was like, you know what? I don't want to do any more of this. I want to sit down with this for a good few hours at home, laying on the sofa and go, you know what? Really jump into it for a while.
No, I mean, it looks like a clever thing, because you're going to get your Switch on June the 5th, if you're lucky. You're going to play Mario Kart. You're going to play some of the Switch 2 editions. Spoiler, coming up next. But the next month in July, you're going to get Bananza. So you're like, what a good game to look forward to. But before we move to the Switch 2 editions, I do want to briefly talk about Metroid Prime 4, just because I think there's some fears. People will think it's been so long, it's been through developers. The initial feeling to me was straight away, this feels like a Metroid Prime video game, which is, I think, what people will want to hear. If you've only even played the recent HD remake re-release thingy, it feels that way. You hold ZL to you lock on, and you has all that. The thing they've added is the mouse controls, and I think they're very clever. So the way they're implemented is very clever. Yeah, you're playing it with Joy-Cons, and you may have heard this. Hopefully you can see it in our video footage. It is seamless. You are holding the Joy-Cons, you place the Joy-Con down, and it instantly switches to mouse controls. And the thing that really impressed me about that I mean, that is impressive, by the way.
Yeah, I mean, I expected this to be a menu option swap somewhere. The fact I could literally just go flip and you're using it.
But the thing that really impressed me about that is twofold. First of all, I found jump a bit awkward because initially when you're playing the game, jump is on the it would be the B button, right? Which is fine because you're holding a controller. But when you put your hand down, it's not there. It's quite awkward to have two fingers on the two.
Well, essentially, it turns
buttons
off the face buttons and stick as you flip it over.
Well, no,
they
the face
don't
buttons
react.
still work. They do, but it was only when I found out myself that you could then you can still jump on that A, but it's quite awkward.
Oh, okay.
But jump is also on the L trigger on the left one. So
you still got naturally
you've got
somewhere
there, so it's cleverly mapped. So you've got your lock on button and your jump button, literally there and there. And that was impressive because initially I thought that is a bit awkward, but then when I discovered that you could just jump on a different button, that's like, well done, you thought of that. But the thing that truly impressed me, and this is a bit nerdy, and I don't know if it will appeal to others, but the whole mouse thing, people have been like, it's a gimmick. I don't think it's a gimmick at all. So the thing that impressed me the most about this is, yes, it's amazing. You just put it down and it's a mouse, right? But what really impressed me is in the menus for Metroid Prime 4, you can adjust the sensitivity of the mouse. And I didn't even go all the way up.
You can tweak it to your liking, can't you?
I didn't even go all the way up. I just, because, keyboard and mouse player, you'll know where I'm coming from. So especially if you play FPSs, you'll want that fidelity. I wondered, is this a one and done type mouse? Again, if you're into your tech, you'll know what I mean. Is this a cheap mouse where you plug it in and you use it as a mouse, or is this a mouse that I can tweak a little bit and it's like, well, no, it is.
Bit of personalization in there.
You can absolutely adjust the sliders to make it customizable to how you want your mouse to feel, and that's impressive, and it bodes well for future FPS games, shall we say, because it means you can adjust that sort of stuff. I've
always been playing FPS games. I've always been the kind of guy who relies on controller, so I've never really played with mouse and keyboard. This could be the gateway to get me to change over a little bit. That's
an certainly interesting thing. I think the thing with that, what the issue with this is even as good as it works, which it does, by the way, I cannot get across to you. Anyone is like,
it works really well.
I bet it doesn't feel like a mouse. It works like a mouse. It works like a mouse. That's the compliment you can give it. It doesn't feel like a mouse, and it doesn't feel like a controller. Now, this is the thing. Now, for me, I don't think that's an issue. Because if we want to write things off and go, well, it doesn't feel like what I'm used to, I recently reviewed a Victrix leverless controller for fighting games.
But you suddenly haven't got a joystick.
It hasn't got a joystick, so it shouldn't exist then because it's a new way of controlling things. So for me, it does feel different. It's like mouse adjacent when you first get used to it.
It's something new to get used to, but that's not a bad thing.
That's fine. Do you know what I mean? Let's not.
I was starting to. So we got around 15 minutes with Metroid. I could feel myself starting to adjust in that time. I need more time with it, but I could feel myself getting used to it.
You're not going to instantly get used to it, and I think, if I'm honest, the welcome pack is a better use of explaining how this mouse works. But I definitely think it's a viable way to play. I really do. Yeah, I was impressed.
Again, I've been thinking about Metroid this morning, Adam. What's your view on... So this is going to be a crossover game. So we are getting a Switch edition of this, and we're getting a Switch 2 edition of this.
Yes.
What are your thoughts on... Do you think that shows anywhere in it at all? Did you look at this and go,
no, because
this is an upgraded Switch port... and not a Switch 2 game?
Because Metroid has an art style and a look, and they've kept in with that. So it's not the sort of thing. But it does link us neatly into Switch 2 stuff. We're not going to talk loads about all of these because we didn't actually have a chance to play all of them. And again, selfishly, like Kirby, you want to save that for release.
Yeah, I mean, I should have been more selfless. I apologise to everyone, but it's one of those things that I put off playing for a while anyway. And now I'm like, I'm going to wait.
But let's be honest, people want to hear about Zelda, Breath of the Wild, Tears of the Kingdom.
Of course they do. Yeah, having played both of these in both handheld and with Pro Controller formats, they look pretty still, Adam, don't they?
I'm a bit annoyed.
And now they look even prettier
honest.
and smoother.
I'm a bit annoyed because I mentioned earlier that there were things I went into that I was sure of. Brings us on to neatly point number 2. There is, Mr. Cook thinks, as walking in to play games for Nintendo Switch 2. There is no way Nintendo is going to be able to convince me that I can find another 60 to 80 hours to play each of these two games. That, by the way, I love and are both 10 out of 10 games to me. there's no way I'm going to replay these in what is already a busy year of video games.
How's finding another 120 hours of free time for you, Adam?
2 for 2, Nintendo. Well done. You win. Fine. I'll
They got
play
you
them
a
again.
treat, mate.
They look ridiculous.
Yeah.
The HDR on that art style is just beautiful, and
the art style already looked amazing.
it
And you
did,
look at it, I mean, what
but now
more can they do?
it's ridiculous.
And they've done it. It
The
looks
frame
bloody lovely.
rate, the resolution. Man,
I mean, we got to try out the frame
load
rate in one of
times.
the areas that is notorious for being a bit crappy at times.
Forest, yeah.
Yeah, and it was just smooth as butter, mate. It was
You also
lovely.
jumped into a shrine, and the load times are night and day.
Yeah, it was one of those things. And to be honest, I hadn't noticed till you point it out. I was so enamored with just looking at the world. And you said, "Oh, did you notice?" I was like,
No, it was so quick.
yeah.
The load time was like
It was
almost. Yeah, it was very quick. There's
These
not
are
an awful lot
games
to add.
that don't forget there are people out there who will be getting
Yep.
a Switch 2 who have never experienced these.
That's what I
It's
said
easy to always assume it from our point of view as gamers who have played these things before.
Mm.
Can you imagine having never played Breath of the Wild or Tears of the Kingdom?
I can, and I'm annoyed.
Looking this good.
Because imagine getting to play these for the first time like that.
Oh,
that's quite something.
I'm jealous.
That's what I mean. It's like, I wish I'd almost not played them now, but that's not true. I can't say that.
No, but it's going to be damn good to go back again. That's for sure.
We're not going to stay too long on those, but yeah, Switch 2 editions are looking good.
Yep.
We had a quick look at Hades 2, Street Fighter 6, Bravely Default, Flying Fairy HD Remaster, Civ 7. Not an awful lot to report, really.
No, without getting too deep into any of them, they all look great. They seem to run well. That's ticking exactly what I needed to, the boxes I needed to tick.
Yeah, Street Fighter 6, I was actually quite surprised. I don't know what. I guess in my head, there's been some fighting games that have been on Switch, like Mortal Kombat or something, and you've gone like,
Yep.
you definitely... You did make that, but should you have made that? And
Yeah, I never think of as the Switch of a fighting game platform as such normally.
No, it's pretty good for them.
But this is showing that
some of
this
them look
is
rough.
certainly viable to be doing it
But
with SF6.
Seeing Street Fighter 6 on it, it's like, man, it's crossplay. That's great. Cyberpunk 2077 surprisingly was there to see.
I don't think I was expected to turn around and see that in a corner. I was like, hang on a second, we're seeing this early.
But moving away from third party onto like the last bit, I guess, GameCube games, Soul Calibur 2, we played, Wind Waker, F-Zero GX, and the controller itself, which
They've done it again, haven't they? They've done it again.
I went in there thinking, there's no way I'm buying a Pro controller. There's no way you're getting me to play Zelda again. And the third one was, there's absolutely no way on earth I will be buying a GameCube controller.
Of course not. That'd be stupid, wouldn't it?
It would. Yeah. Guess what?
Have you got the pre-order on now, or are you waiting for
I
later
haven't,
tonight?
but I'm going to try because like that thing felt great. I forgot how good the triggers felt on that thing. I mean, maybe they don't even feel good. Maybe it's like they feel nostalgic.
They're full of nostalgia, Adam. That's what you're pressing.
Yeah,
it's on
the
nostalgia.
springiness. It's lovely. They've really nailed that. Wind Waker looked crisp.
It looked very nice. I was sort of bemoaning the fact that this wasn't going to be the Wii U re-release. I'm not going to moan about that now. Having seen it now, I'm like, you know what? This looks great. I'm happy to go back as is.
Crisp. I mean, it does have a few issues in terms of like the camera movement was backwards for you, but like you can customize all that via the GameCube. Same way you can customize all the stuff with the the NES, SNES, Mega Drive.
Yeah, you can mix it up as much as you like to sort these things out. There's a good load of options there for everyone. One of the things that I didn't expect to see, and I don't think we'd seen it any time before, was Mario Strikers.
I certainly missed it.
GameCube.
I'm
pretty sure we hadn't seen that until yesterday, and nothing was really made of it again. I was doing a second take, thinking, have I missed something here? So there's certainly going to be more, great games added to the roster. It's something to look forward to.
Soul Calibur 2 looked good for its age. F-Zero GX looked good and felt great. F-Zero GX was like, I forgot, this feels great.
It's I've never been into the F-Zero series at all, so this is your area for it. But
it just felt
I'm certainly going to be jumping in there when I can get my hands on it.
Holding that GameCube controller, it felt like, oh, this feels right, this feels great, and again the wireless is wireless and it's got all the buttons on it for the chat button and stuff. It's like, fine. Right. So what we're going to do now is we're going to segue into the questions section of the pod preview.
Okay.
And then we're going to, at the end of it, give it a little wrap up and some promotion to tell you where you can support us. But right, we've got quite a few questions for from certain people who have just sent a load of questions in. So we'll start off with Mikhail, who says, how does HD Rumble 2 feel compared to HD Rumble and DualSense haptics?
I think, didn't you have a more hands-on experience with this via the Welcome Pack again, with the Maraca game?
Yes, there's a Maraca thing where you hold the Joy-Cons and there's like beads inside it, and then you press a button and it switches to just like one rubber ball inside it. And I was so impressed by it. You were filming and I was like, can you just
hold this?
But was I overreacting? Like, it still feels impressive to me.
This very much reminded me of, I think it's the 1-2 Switch game from back in the day, where you had a bunch of, was it marbles inside a matchbox?
Yeah,
that impressed me so much at the time. Then this was doing the same level of impression on me. It felt fantastic. You could feel each individual ball rolling over each other.
But combining it with the Find the Rumble mouse controller thing as well, like that was also it was impressive.
In game where we could feel this, it felt like it had just been maybe beefed up a little more than what we're used to.
Yeah,
it felt a little stronger in there. This isn't worlds apart from where we are now, but it is a little bit of a bump up on there.
Yeah. Next question: any word on Street Fighter 6 Amiibo launching in the UK? No, I have asked Nintendo. I haven't had an answer just yet, so can't help you there.
How does the Pro addiction begin again?
Yeah. How does the Pro Controller 2 feel weight-wise? Do you think it is worth £80? Well, first of all, I will just say...
This is a hard one to answer.
No, I can get us out of this one quite easily. Okay. It's not up to us to say whether it's worth £80 of your money.
No.
If I play as much
But weight-wise,
Switch
it's
2,
also difficult. So a lot of these things are tethered to the units, so you've got a great big cord running out of the back.
It's also worth mentioning...
It affects the weighting of what you're holding.
But the Pro Controller 2 was literally the only thing I can think of that wasn't available to hold untethered. I mean, obviously.
No, I mean, we got to do it with the Joy-Con too. We got to hold the unit on its own.
The Switch itself, that's what I'm saying. It's literally
the
only
thing.
Get
to hold a Pro Controller just free.
But if I play as much Switch 2 hourage as I did Switch, then yes, it will be worth £80 to me because it felt really premium. That's the
build
that's
quality
why I
is
was
excellent.
shocked. That's why I was like, "There's no way I'm going to be paying that because I've got 2 of these already." It felt really premium. It reminded me a little bit of an Xbox Elite controller, but without the falling apart.
Without the issues.
Yeah, without any issues. It really did feel good.
I mean, obviously, there's the C button on there.
Yep.
Which is we didn't get to see that in any usage.
No,
so currently you've got a button on there that does nothing until we get them in our homes. I want to see how the back buttons work on there. So you've got 2 on the back of the grip.
They felt good.
And as far as we know, they are going to be fully assignable as well. As to quite how that works, I'm not sure if that's going to be
I
hold a button and let it change over, or if it's going to be in system.
Yeah.
But I love that idea. I missed that when we haven't got it.
I had one of them with it on the back of them as well.
Yeah.
So yeah, they felt good.
Yeah, they do feel very nice.
How did the new Joy-Cons feel on their own?
Comfier than the regular Joy-Con to me. I'm getting old and I've got old man hands, and I find that a regular Joy-Con digs in right in my palm at times.
I feel they feel quite plasticky and breakable, whereas the Switch 2 ones don't.
Oh, comparatively, yeah, for sure. But they're also, because of the ergonomics of them, they're much comfier, man. I didn't think I was going to, now I know that if I play my Switch for an hour, I'm going to feel it later. If I don't use a grip on it, essentially. With this, I don't think that's going to happen, And I know I might be proven wrong.
It's difficult.
We got to see it. We need time with this stuff.
Yeah. He did. He says, which Switch 1 game are you excited to try on Switch 2 backwards compatibility? If we're calling it that, I'm still going to just say, well, I've said Zelda's on.
Yeah, it's going to be Zelda straight from the off. They're
quite looking forward to playing Kirby again with the new content because I love that game.
Yeah, so, I mean, that's a new one for me, so it's going to give me something in the meantime to keep on with, and tide me a bit until we're getting this deluge of games.
That's fair. Any plans to review the Switch 2 hardware around launch? We will, yes. Which Microsoft first-party games that they ported to PlayStation 5 would you like to play on Switch 2?
Being the racing guy that I am, I'd happily play some more Forza of some format on there.
Yeah, I mean, I was going to cheat and just say when they eventually announce Gears of War, but I don't know.
That's a little bit of wishful thinking, though, isn't it?
Yeah, it is. Right, Thomas McInnes says the new console looks like a big lad. How does it feel in the hand? Is it heavy or is it just right?
It feels like a slim boy, that's for sure.
So
we know the thickness is the same as the Switch now.
What, width-wise? Yeah.
Yeah, the actual thickness of it is the same. size-wise, it feels comparable to Steam Deck. If anyone's had experience with that previously, it's a little
Well,
longer.
hang on then. In that case, let me loop in the next question, because Kieran Singh says similar to Thomas's question, because these were put on Patreon for people to answer. How does it feel compared to the Steam Deck? Are like ROG Ally, Switch OLED, etc. So I will say I think it's a heavier unit than the Switch OLED overall. I felt like when I took the Joy-Cons
there's
off,
not a lot in it though.
No, but when I felt just the screen and took the Joy-Cons and put them down, I was like, this actually feels a little heavier. Not like a lot, but...
No, and having played Steam Deck again today, it makes the Steam Deck feel a bit chunky and toy-like, you know?
Yes, it does, yeah.
It certainly feels more premium, for want of a better word.
Yeah, no, I mean, compared to them, I've tried them all. RPG, ROG Ally, I'd say is heavier. I'm going off memory. Like, it's heavier than the Switch OLED. Steam Deck is a big unit. It's smaller than that, a lot smaller than that. I love the Steam Deck.
It's the hand feel though as well that's different.
Yes, yeah,
you know, because it is slimmer and it is, you know, it's super comfy in the hand. And so, having gone back to a Steam Deck today, it feels like almost going back to a Wii U controller screen.
The more plasticky feel,
chunkiness, like, you know, the Tonka toy of screens. Essentially, it's a world apart from that.
Yeah, Yeah, no, it feels the you know, the actual grips, the Joy-Con grip controller thing as well felt better than the current one. I'm not sure about the actual size and scale. It just felt more comfortable to me. So maybe it's a little bit bigger, biggish hands.
Yeah, we're talking about the Joy-Con grip that comes in the box, one of the plastic you slide it into.
Yeah.
I've been using the original Switch one this morning, and it is more comfortable on the Switch 2.
That's what I mean.
It's a little wider. I've always found the other one is a little too small. Mine's always felt a little bit crunched in. It's just that little wider and more open.
That's exactly what I'm getting at. Yeah. Hand feel. Kieran also says, "Did you try playing with a single Joy-Con? Was it better than the current ones? Only on Welcome Pack." Which
I mean,
it's difficult because all of them are cabled. There's no chance to just get a Joy-Con. They're all going to be cabled, and I know it sounds silly, but just that cable there, it just adds that little bit.
It makes a difference, yeah. So the only time we got to actually hold the Joy-Con on their own was on a demo unit that wasn't playing anything.
Yeah.
So you're not as if you're trying to make use of it in a gaming situation. So it's so hard to tell how that's going to be. But you know, we're hopefully going to see soon enough, man. Although June feels like a far off, distant galaxy at the moment.
He says, "Is the museum game actually worth a tenner?" I can't answer that because I don't know what I haven't seen. But from what I've played of it, I'm happy to spend a tenner.
I'd be happily checking in a tenner now, having seen it. Not a problem at all.
He also asks, what did you guys eat while you were at the event? We didn't eat anything at the event. No.
Absolutely famished 4 hours later.
Did you see anything of Cyberpunk and or Elden Ring? How did they look and run compared to current gen equivalents, and will you be replaying them on Switch 2? I probably will, because there's no point me saying I won't, because I've already been proven wrong twice.
3 times.
Elden Ring, unless I'm going mad,
there was nothing on show running on hardware. They had the video running on a big screen in the background, but that's what we've seen.
But that was just the direct on repeat, basically.
Yeah. So we've not seen anything there yet.
I mean, it's an early build. Looks fine. Fine. Yeah, I will be. But yeah, Elden Ring was the one I was like, it wasn't until I was home going. In fact, I think it wasn't until I heard this question I was like, that wasn't there at all. Now I think about it again, unless I missed it.
Well, carrying on from Adam, you mentioned earlier there was also another absence we talked about that we had expected to see.
What was that?
Pokemon.
Well, I hadn't expected to see that. That's what I was saying to you, because I think that's going to be a late November time release, and they're not going to start showing that yet. Because also, Pokemon is the one they get super funny with spoilers on.
Okay.
So I don't know how you would show that comfortably. So I don't know. We'll see. Yeah. Matt King says, does the mouse work well on different surfaces? For example, a wood versus a glass coffee table. Didn't get to experience that myself.
There weren't enough glass coffee tables for everyone to have a go on.
But I did ask, can you use it on your legs? And they pointed out that the I've forgotten the name of the game, but the basketball one, you can do that on your So
Drag X Drive.
Yes, that's the one. So that apparently they do. But again, these are things I'm reticent, or rather hesitant, to be like, oh, definitely, and then be wrong when I get one in my house.
I'm not even sure we could have got it to our legs from where it was tethered on the
exactly. So I'm hesitant to.
I didn't try that one.
Thomas is back with a few more. Of the games you sampled, this is a simple one. Which surprised you the most, Stephen?
It's odd because I can't say that any of surprised me, because I went in with Nintendo level expectations.
Right.
they're all living up to that. I don't feel there's nothing I've been overly surprised by. I've just been, a pleasant level of this is what I expected to do, and nothing has let me down. I'm a happy boy.
Well, I mean, Welcome Pack surprised me because I was expecting to be like, well, this is just everyone's right.
But I've been quite open to that so far anyway. So that wasn't.
Well, I had no expectations.
This is just reassuring me that this is going to be good.
Yeah, I had no expectations. I will say that the Mario Kart world did surprise me. The elimination mode. I've played that before, but I wasn't prepared for how much. I'm not really competitive when it comes to those games, and all of a sudden I was like, and I was playing it thinking I'm going to be so shit at this, but all of a sudden once I was past the first round and I wasn't out, which I thought would happen, I was like, now I care.
You're suddenly in there, aren't you?
And I was literally, and I saw it happen to someone else as well. I got smashed. I was gonna get to the next stage and got smashed by someone's shell right in front of the finish line, and that is brutal.
Classic.
It's brutal in Mario Kart. It's especially brutal when that means you're out, son. They all surprised me in the first party stuff in equal measure, I will say. But I will also say, as much as I you suspected from what Nintendo had said that the Breath of the Wild and Tears of the Kingdom would look better, we've tried to capture that in some of the videos. No, it looks. That was surprising. That is a.
I mean, wait till you see it in person. It's
on a big telly like that, it was a bump.
Yeah. Gonna be lush.
He also, we've kind of already answered this, but I don't want to think people to think we're ignoring them. He says, "Did you get the chance to see or play any third-party stuff? If so, how did it compare with other consoles?" It played like those games. So there's no part of me that's like, oh dear.
Like we say, it's easy to get kind of blasé about it because from me, I've had the option to play this on different things.
Yes.
But for people who will only have a Switch 2 at home, they're now getting to experience stuff that I never would have put with Nintendo a few years ago. Oh, Cyberpunk, yeah, no problem.
Yeah.
That's the surprise here for me. It's like this is actually Nintendo's spreading their wings a bit.
Yep. His last question is, what are your hype levels following the hands-on? Less, more, or the same?
I'm on a huge come down today. Basically, I was so
more.
So my hype levels are basically, it's a juxtaposition of me feeling like really down that I can't play a Switch 2, but knowing how fantastic this is going to be. It's going to be the longest couple of months now in human history for me.
Really? So
Everyone's like, oh, June's not far. I'm like, no, but it got a damn lot further after yesterday. So yeah, my hype levels are totally up there. I can't wait to get my hands on this.
Well, I mean, I've kind of given mine away by saying like there was things I was sure of, and like, I really.
You're so hyped. You're giving your wallet away. That's the way to do it.
That's the thing. I'm really looking forward to testing all the last little bits of this that I have questions over, like the battery life. Another one for me that I couldn't test. There's something I remember years ago saying, what would I want from a Switch 2? Better Bluetooth compatibility with like AirPods or headphones and that.
Yeah, we haven't seen anything like that so far.
I couldn't test that.
But I want to see the OS running as well.
That's what I mean.
Everything was locked off. We couldn't go basically outside of the demos you are provided.
Yeah.
So I can't wait to see how.
But that's what I mean. So there are still questions, but I am genuinely I think this is gonna. Take this for the hype you want it to be. This is. What I've experienced in those 4 hours is a very strong signal. We're going to see another 7 years of kind of dominance from Nintendo.
Yeah, I don't doubt it.
The software, the hardware, it looks good. 2 more questions to go. Dale asks, how was the GameCube emulation? Very excited to play those again. Brilliant. It's exactly what you'd expect. Yeah, if you've played any of the other Nintendo Switch Online stuff, plus expansion pack from like the SNES stuff, the Mega Drive stuff, that. Save states, customizable.
It always runs great, doesn't it?
Mm-hmm.
And this is a continuation of that. It's absolutely spot on.
And Dale also says, do the new Joy-Cons feel more robust than the ones from the original Switch? I, like many others, have had to send mine off to Nintendo for repairs several times, and it's one of my biggest concerns. And again, I think we have kind of answered that with other questions. They do. They feel more robust. We can't.
They feel like they have a slightly larger range of movement as well from memory. There's a little bit more. There,
one thing I'd say is we can't talk too much about the sticks because we haven't had extended playtime and things like that the one I'm talking about. We can't comment on that yet because we've only had 4 hours of, and then like not even on the same controller. So like,
bouncing from each one.
Yeah. So I don't know.
They are things yet to be unfolding.
But yes, they do feel more robust. I will say that, much more robust. Like I said, it's a weird thing. I said it in my written preview. Is that when 7 years ago, and this leads into the overall wrap up. 7 years ago, when I was stood in Hammersmith Apollo, playing demos of Switch 1 games, it felt cool. All the tech was cool, and it made me look at the Wii U, which, by the way, I really liked the Wii U. I understand why it failed, but I actually love my Wii U. I've still got
Both
it.
of us, yeah.
You
both
can't
of us
quite see it. It's just behind me, still plugged in, actually. But it made that feel like a Tonka toy, like a cheap sort of. It was like Lego to not Roblox, to Duplo. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Or Minecraft to Roblox, whatever.
So chunky and like.
It just felt cheaper, and I never felt that with the Switch, and yet now.
Until you got home last night and looked at it and went, oh.
Well, the Switch 2 has made the Switch feel that same thing.
Sure.
And I remember thinking, and I said this to you, is that the thing about the Switch 2 so far for me is so that my sort of top line headline is that it feels more mature, but the magic is still there.
Yes, I agree with that.
Like, it feels that this felt like a more mature Nintendo that's moved with its. Let's say, for example, people grew up with Switch. Well, they will have. There's no question about that. They will have. It feels more mature, like they've moved with their audience, but not left anyone behind. There is still going to be
Nintendo magic there all the time, isn't there?
Well, I mean, for the younger kids sort of thing. Like, it's still available. They're not overcomplicating things, but there are now more mechanically adult experiences like Metroid going to be available.
Civ 7.
Civ 7. By bringing third parties better on board, you're going to get a more mature console, but without losing the magic. And that leaves me very excited.
Definitely.
Because to have a Switch that can do what the other consoles can do third party wise. Like, I've been asked a question, it wasn't part of these, but someone asked me, like, would you really replay Cyberpunk? It's like, well, yeah, because I have it on Steam and I have it on PlayStation 5 and Xbox, and I like them, and I've never finished the DLC, right? Because I don't always have access to the TV, but I don't really want to play it on Steam because you lose too much fidelity. It runs great on Steam Deck, but you still lose fidelity.
Yep.
What if you could have both? So
that's what we're looking at now, isn't it? Potentially,
kind of sums it up for me, and my overall wrap up is that I feel very excited for the future of gaming, because a Nintendo that's firing and being innovative, like with the mouse controllers and stuff, is an exciting thing for the whole industry. You know, it's always a good thing. And I've made no secret about it. Like, I'm a massive Super Mario Maker fan. I want Super Mario Maker 3, and I want to be able to design levels sat at my desk with a mouse.
Clicking your way around.
I want to be able to do that. You know, why is that not a thing, almost? Why is that not a launch title? I don't know. But, you know, that sort of thing.
It feels like a natural evolution, doesn't it?
It feels like things like that mouse controller could push the industry in certain ways, because we've had recently crossplay has really become a strong thing.
Yeah.
But you want the separation between mouse-controlled players and console players. But now we're going to see we're going to see that. Let's see it. You know,
everyone can just play together.
Ish, you know, with Fortnite, for example. Fortnite is coming. Why would you not be able to play that like Metroid Prime 4 with a controller and a mouse?
There's no reason not to, is there? Yeah.
So it's going to push things.
You're leveling a playing field, essentially.
And I'm very excited because a lot of the things that have bothered me over the sort of last few years with the Switch are things that the newer consoles have shown up, like the faster load times. Mm-hmm. But we saw Breath of the Wild load like
it's doing it
in seconds. So I am my feeling. And then I'll hand to you, is that I am very excited for the future, and I do think this is Nintendo's to grab, basically, with both hands. I think what I played, I'd find hard pressed to call out too many negatives. I'm very excited. It's great,
if any. Yeah, as you said earlier, I walked in there expecting an upgrade, an iteration, and thinking, this is it's going to be nice, it's going to be fine. I'm looking forward to seeing what we're going to see. I have walked out of there, and I can't wait for this to release now. It is much more than just saying, this is a pro version of a Switch. It'd be easy to say, it's got a few upgrades and things. It feels much more than that. It feels more than the sum of its parts now, even though we know what we're getting. You know, this isn't the revolution and change of control methods of suddenly, like, you know, the change for Wii using motion for things, of a Wii U, say, suddenly creating a separate screen. We have got an iteration on something that works, and that is to be expected for big companies nowadays. But it feels more than that as well, especially as a Nintendo fan, you know. So yeah, I can't wait for this. I'm going to recommend that if anyone can get their pre-orders on, you go do it right now.
Indeed.
We know it's tough out there for that, but give it a damn good go.
Lastly, all then I guess remains to say if you enjoyed this, we do a podcast that's kind of similar to this, a bit more jokey, I suppose. It's called Loot Level Chats, why that's up there in the text. You can get early access to that and other content, behind the scenes footage and behind the scenes photos of events like the one we've just been to.
Stuff we do.
But other stuff like I went to Frankfurt earlier in the year to play Doom, that sort of stuff, Doom the Dark Ages days. All that sort of stuff. That's patreon.com/lootlevelchill. And you can find all that there and all the information there. So do have a look at that. And if you did just find us randomly on YouTube or wherever you're watching, just click subscribe, follow, whatever. Leave a comment if you want any more
come
questions.
join us.
Try and get some more of them. Steve, if you want to join me in raising your glass, I would very much appreciate it. And it's not going to work because we're not really in the same room as each other.
Join.
Yeah. Thanks for watching or listening, and we'll speak to you in the next one. Bye bye for now.
Bye bye.